Hello and welcome to this week's instalment of Authentic Vlogging. It's all in the title. I would like to start off by apologising for something I said in my last vlog. I think I said that humans use only 10% of their brains. Well, it turns out this is a common myth, but in fact it is not true. Humans use all of their brains. I mean, at one particular time they may only be using 10%, but overall they will use every part of their brain, so sorry about that. Now, if anyone's paying attention to my notice board up here, you may notice a new item. If you can't see what that is from that distance, I can show you. It is an advertisement for a film called Primer that I recently bought over Amazon because I'd already seen it, and it is an excellent movie, so I thought I wanted to own it. It's a film about time travel and it really messes with your mind, and if you like that kind of film, I would really recommend it. It has become one of my favourite films. In other news, if you pay attention to my upper lip, you may be able to see that I am taking part in November. November, for those who don't know, is a contraction of No and Movember. Movember being, of course, Moustache November, the month where you grow a moustache for charity. Now what I am doing is that I am not growing a moustache for charity in November. So I will be shaving my moustache most days in November, making sure I do not grow a moustache. And I'm doing this for charity, so I would encourage all of you who are watching me now to donate something to cancer research at some point here in November, or at some later point in the year, or maybe donate to some other charity. I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? I just don't understand. I mean, how does it work to do something for charity? You do something, people donate money to charity, but where's the link? I mean, maybe I sound like some kind of cold and heartless human being who doesn't give a flying feather about all the misery that's going on in the world, but I give to charity. I give a certain amount every month to Cancer UK and to Oxfam and to Children in Need. I'm not joking, I do actually do this. And I just don't see, I mean, yes, I could grow a moustache, I could grow a beard, I could do something for charity, but what on earth does that mean? And if I wanted to, I could spontaneously decide that I'm going to paint my wall blue and say that it's for charity and have people donating to a charity in order for me to paint my wall blue. I don't understand how it works, I'm sorry. All this to say that I have decided to participate in November. Now, if I stop slumping like this and turn myself towards the camera, you'll be able to see that I have a poppy hanging on. And this is of course because today is Remembrance Day, the day when we remember the soldiers who died during the First War, exactly 100 years ago. The whole poppy thing originated from a poem written by a guy called John McCrae, and the poem is called In Flanders Field, and it talks about, I think, dead soldiers and red poppies that were growing in the field where they died. Now, I am going to recite not that poem, but another poem, and I will admit that it has at least one World War II reference in it, but it's still one that could be applied to pretty much any war, so I'm going to do it anyway. The poem doesn't have a title, but it's usually referred to by its first line, namely, why must itself up every other park? And it is by E. Cummings. So, why must itself up every other park? Ain't a stick some, quote, statue, unquote, to prove that a hero equals any jerk who was afraid to dare to answer no. Quote, citizens, unquote, might otherwise forget to err is human, to forgive divine. That when the, quote, state, unquote, says kill, killing is an act of Christian love. Nothing in 1944 AD can stand against the argument of military necessity. Generalissimo E. And Echo answers, there is no appeal from reason. Freud. You pays your money and you doesn't take your choice. Ain't freedom grand. I don't think I'll be reading this anymore. Moving on to something a little bit more interesting. In last week's vlog there was one uninteresting question left in the comments, which is more than 7 times more questions than the previous week, which is an improvement, I guess. So the question was left by YouTube user Andon150, and the question was, why is the moon not made of cheese? Which is very good, because that is an incredibly uninteresting question, and I am going to give an interesting answer to it. Time for
Interesting answers to uninteresting questions.
So, why is the moon not made out of cheese? The question makes you wonder where this whole moon and cheese thing started, and apparently it originated in ancient Persia, where the Persians would believe that the celestial objects you see in the sky would all be food for the gods. And so the moon, naturally due to its colour, was believed to be made out of cheese. Now, of course, by the time of the Enlightenment and the development of the scientific method, this belief was considered to be completely and utterly absurd. But it kind of still begs the interesting question that surely we already knew before going to the moon in 1969 that the moon is not made out of cheese. But how do you show without going there that it's not? Well, first of all, it seems very implausible, because in order for the moon to be made out of cheese, it would have had to be milk before that. And that is an excessive amount of milk to create. There is no single animal that could produce that much. So it would have had to be a cooperative effort between several animals, and there is not enough organisation in the animal kingdom to actually achieve that kind of goal. But even if someone claimed that there was some great almighty powerful cow that had made all this milk and turned it into cheese and placed it in orbit around the Earth, could we still somehow manage to disprove that claim? Well, I'm interested in knowing what you think, but in my opinion, I think it's possible. I think the easiest way, you may have other ways, but I think the easiest way would be to use the tides and things like that to work out the mass of the moon, and that can be done, and was in fact done before the first expedition to the moon. And from there, you should be able to deduce the density of the moon, and from that, if it doesn't fit the density of cheese, you're done. So, to sum up, we can prove that the moon is not made out of cheese, even without going there, either by simply looking at the evidence we have available to us, or by logically deducing that it can't be made out of cheese, because in order for that to be true, we would have to assume so many hypotheses that the claim simply becomes too implausible to believe. And that's why the moon is not made out of cheese. Thank you for the question! And with that, we get to the end of the vlog. There is sadly not going to be a vlog next week, and in fact this is going to be the last vlog that I make ever, because that's just how it works. Thank you for understanding. This is the Missing N, signing out.